Welcome to Vicious Whispers with Mark Tullius, your source for horror, sci-fi, suspense, and all things violent.
Thank you so much for joining me today on Vicious Whispers with Mark Tullius. At the end of the episode, we will play a short story from Morsels of Mayhem. I totally forgot all about this story. It is the 31st story in 25 Perfect Days. It was a late addition to this. Well, 25 Perfect Days plus five more. That's what makes it the 31st and not the 26th story. So it is a little bit different, a little bit of a different take. I hope you guys enjoy it. That will be at the end of the episode. First, I'm going to go into a little bit about what's been happening. Last episode was about 3 weeks ago. Since then, there have been ups, there have been downs. Overall, I'm feeling pretty awesome. And so I want to talk about where I am brain wise with everything. A few days ago, I did the 6 week follow up with the Amen Clinics. It's pretty amazing. I couldn't recommend them anymore. For me, they did a great job. Everyone was so friendly, so helpful. Really appreciate my doctors and everyone that I interacted with. So let's get into it where I'm at, especially because I haven't been posting a lot on social media. I really struggle with that. Man, it's not because 'cause I'm in a bad place, it's I got a lot of shit going on. So not only do I have all these books going on, but I'm trying to pay attention to my kids, taking care of the family, taking care of my wife, her taking care of me, dealing with ups and downs. This week, I hadn't been training jujitsu because of injuries, but this week, Coach West was sick, so I went in on Wednesday and Thursday and covered for him. Little bit of a stressor just because I doubt my jiu-jitsu ability and my ability to coach. I don't do it very often. I haven't been training that much. And I also feel like I just don't have that ability to remember the smallest details. But it was all good when I focus on just, okay, here's what I do know. Here's what works for me. Here's something you can try. Then it was a cool class. And I got over the whole insecurity of it, or at least I got over most of it. So, but again, just another passion, right? This morning I spent probably 20 or 30 minutes playing guitar. I've been picking up the guitar a lot more. Another little passion. I got a bunch of shit going on. I just don't feel the need to talk about it on social media. Don't Today I wanted to post something. I have the dark and disturbing fear-filled fiction group. Spent time and money trying to build that thing up, and there's some great friends and readers in there and co-authors. I could be sharing stuff about my books or other people's books, and I just don't. I forget about it or I just don't do it. It's not that I don't care, but yeah, I do have quite a few things going on. I'm 51. If I had started my career, if this had been 20 years ago, if I was 30, if this was all I had was writing, if my success was that important, then yeah, I think I would be posting a lot more. I would have it down. I would make it a priority. But right now, I also realize like doesn't matter if I write one more book, 20 more books, 30 more books. I'm gonna be fucking dead one day, and I'm not gonna be thinking about how many books I publish. Like when I'm on my deathbed, it won't matter to me. So all that really matters to me is having a good time, enjoying every day. So the more I do that, the better it is. If I'm not feeling like posting something that day, if I'm not feeling funny, if I'm not feeling creative, whatever else, and I'm probably not going to post. So sometimes I struggle with that. I feel like it's a disservice to my co-authors, but at the same time, I'm one person. I could only do so much. Yeah, my ability only goes so far. Sometimes it's spent developing ideas, starting new projects. I don't know if I mentioned it or not, but now we have Try Not to Die in the UK being developed, which is amazing. I had a quick little conversation with MJ Mars. She'd been recommended several times by different authors and fans saying, "Oh, you should do a Try Not to Die with her." But I just in my head, I'm like, "Yeah, that'd be awesome." But here's probably why it won't work. Not only do I have too much stuff going on, but I'm sure she has too much stuff, and she probably doesn't even want to mess around with this stupid thing and blah blah blah. But she was super excited about it. She thought it was super cool. And the fact that we're doing one in the UK is awesome. We didn't have an author from the UK. Now we have an author from there. And it's a reason for me to go to the London Book Fair. So I thought about maybe doing March 5 there, but I don't know if the book would be done. I don't want to put that kind of stress on us, especially because I have so many books. There's like really 16 or so Try Not to Dies that I'm trying to get out before the end of 2025. which is crazy to try to do that much, but I think it may happen. So I didn't want to have the extra stress of doing that. I'm already planning on going to Frankfurt next year. So 2025, Frankfurt, Germany. That'll be awesome to do that again. And then in March 2026, I will do the London Book Fair. So excited about that. So growing the series, doing other things, like, yeah, sometimes there's not the amount of words that I get done. One thing I'm excited about finally getting to now is Trying to Die in Brownsville with Jay Bauer. Finally giving him the edits on the first 3 chapters. I've had them forever, just been so busy. So finally getting that done. Should have done this weekend, and then I will also begin doing the English version of Abraxas, which is my buddy Nico. We're doing Try Not to Die Between the Worlds, which is based off of his Abraxas series, and he's allowed me to write the English version of Abraxas, which is awesome. So he's just finishing up book one right now. It's going to be incredible. If you are into fantasy books and series like Harry Potter, you're going to love this thing. It's like Harry Potter, but way more violent, smarter. Nico's pretty brilliant as far as all these myths, all these things that he's bringing into his whole magic system. Everything is super cool. It's been awesome being able to talk to him, to listen to him develop it. We have talks on WhatsApp pretty often. It used to be sometimes we would have it every week, but then it started falling off a little bit. We still talk and we still have a good time discussing it. So my knowledge of the German language isn't that great. I could read a lot of it, I could understand most of it, but because he's already told me everything, because we've been over everything, I know what his character is like. I know what these interactions are like. I know how the magic works. I know what these creatures are. So that's going to make for a really cool project. And it should be pretty fast on my end, I think. So excited about doing that. Also, on the business side of things, I finally got all my books onto Ingram Spark. I think there are a couple that are still in the process of being changed over, but all the Try Not to Dies are now available. So, how you can help me? You can ask your library or bookstore to carry these. That is why I'm doing this. It wasn't because I wanted to fuck around with the formatting and mess with the paperbacks, which I have always put off because it takes up so much time. So it definitely wasn't that. Is because I want to get the books into libraries and bookstores all around the world. The way you can help me is by requesting these books. I should have up, I'm hoping within the week to have a downloadable form on my website which you can give to your library or bookstore that will have the list of all the books with the ISBNs and where to order them. But if you just simply put in a request form, they should start carrying them, and that would be amazing. So if you could do that for me, I would highly appreciate it, as would my co-authors. So thank you for that. But yeah, so that's taken up a lot of time. That is done. Did my web store so you can get the Trans Die at Death Fest shirt. There's a Unlocking the Cage shirt, which is a real old one. All of the books, so you get signed books on there if you're in the US. And what else? Oh, the other thing I did through Ingram, I haven't shared this yet. I plan on sharing it in this week's newsletter, but also discount codes through Ingram for all of the paperbacks. I think all of them are $9.99 or less, except for Ghostland and the Wizard's Tower, which are like 11.99. So you can get all the paperback. These will not be signed, but you can get them way cheaper by doing them through there. And yeah, I'm going to try to share all that on the newsletter this week. So if you're not a subscriber, you're missing out, or at least on good ass deals. I'm sure I'll also put it in my social media stuff and on the dark and disturbing fear filled fiction page. So I'm busy. It is not because of me being depressed or in a rage or anything like that. It's actually quite the opposite, where I'm feeling pretty fucking awesome. And it goes, a lot of it is going to, well, I was thinking the mushrooms, the functional mushrooms for a lot of it, but I've been doing so much. So since what I've gotten from the Amen Clinic, not only did I get a good look at my brain and just seeing how much damage there still is, damage that I wasn't even aware of. I had hoped and I had improved my brain through TBI or CTE, all the different things that I did through there. It definitely improved areas of my brain. If I hadn't done all that stuff, I wouldn't be here today for sure. I'd be in prison or dead, or something bad would have happened. I would have crashed and burned. It wouldn't have been good. Very little emotional regulation. Just shit was bad. Now, I went to the Amen Clinic because I was afraid of a downward slide. I was having these episodes 3 to 4 days long where I'd be in a bad depression. I'd be full of rage and sadness and just not in a good place, not in a safe place, not a place that I wanted to be, not a place where I wanted my family to see me. So that's why I went in and took a look at where I was at. So that's not an easy thing, right? We don't want to, oftentimes it's easier to be like, oh, I don't even want to know. Fortunately, we're in a position where we're able to afford to go. A lot of people, they may not be able to, but again, if you're able to, get the brand new phone and you're able to buy this and you're able to buy that and you're going to get the really, really nice car, fuck, I'd rather have a piece of shit car and a way better brain. But again, it's whatever you want to do with your money. And even, and that said, there are so many people that even if they, they don't have a car, they have no way to get around, they could never afford this kind of thing, and that sucks, and that's something I struggle with. It's one reason why I often hesitate about even talking about this kind of stuff. But, that's one of the ways I have to look at it is like, "Oh, man, I'm incredibly fortunate, I'm lucky that I can try to do this stuff, and then I'm going to share as much knowledge as I get out of it." And, like, even the functional mushroom gummies, like, just being able to share that alone, sharing it with one of my good friends who has probably, I would say, pretty severe PTSD, just as much rage, just as much cannabis use as me. He tried out the mushrooms, and within 3 days, like, he's like, "Oh my god, it's making such a big difference. Cannabis use has dropped." That's been one of my big things. I'm using probably 10%, 15% of the cannabis that I did before, and when I am using it, it's generally not because I feel like I need to or anything like that. It's like, "No, I just wanna chill," or friends coming over, or, more of a recreational thing instead of, no, I'm gonna just continue to do this to make myself cool through the day. So that's been great to lower that because the Amen Clinic has shown what excessive cannabis use does to the brain and how it ages it. So it's not a good thing. I don't want to be promoting getting high all the time anymore, especially now that I know, yeah, and I've seen my brain and what cannabis has done to it and how similar it is to other brains that have used a lot of cannabis. So people that say, "Oh, it doesn't do any damage," no, it does. And I acknowledged that before in my other book. I said, "Yes, I accept that it does damage." But at the time, I was willing to continue that damage because for me, that was the thing that was keeping me sane, right? The cannabis and the caffeine, that's I was self-medicating, and that's how I was getting through shit. So all that's feeling way better. I did a sleep test, found out, yes, I do have sleep apnea, but I had a great talk with Dr. Plant yesterday. Love that guy. He's on the integrative side. We have a whole battle plan on what to do. I'm going to try out a dental appliance. I'm doing everything I can before getting a CPAP. I really don't want it. I'm even going to see my ENT about possibly doing something with my airways. Ever since I was a boxer, coaches recommending it. I have always had trouble breathing through my nose, probably because I've broken it and stuff like that. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna go back to taping my lips at night with the hostage tape, using the breathe right or the hostage strips across the nose to open that up, sleeping on my left side. I'm gonna do everything he's suggesting, and it should make a difference. And by the time I get a dental implant, that will should also help. Hopefully, I will not need to use the CPAP machine. If I need to, no big deal. I would just rather not. The other thing that helped, I don't know. Again, I can't say how much any one thing has helped, but I was doing the HBOT. I did, I think, 8 or 9 sessions over at the Amen Clinic. Really enjoyed it. Hetty, who runs that, is awesome. She's amazing. She actually helped give me some information for a short story I'm writing that involves a HBOT machine, and being turned on to that is what enabled my wife and I to just order our own. So we are having one coming. I had wanted to get a hard chamber. That would be amazing. That would be awesome. But it's also not practical. It's also incredibly expensive. We couldn't even get it into the house if we wanted. So I'm going with a soft chamber one, which is way more manageable. And I'm hoping to have that in a day or two. So that will be amazing to have for myself, for my family, not only for the brain health, but then also what it does for after a workout and all that. So a lot of cool shit there. What else with the Amen Clinic? Dr. Mamaya, he's been awesome. He's the psychiatrist that I was dealing with. We had a great talk about the functional mushrooms and just why it was working for me and why to keep it up. And, I'll contact him again if anything else happens. But right now, just be working with Dr. Plant because I'm in a good place. I feel amazing. I couldn't be happier. And the last thing I want to mention is Paige Porter, my therapist. So I just started cognitive behavior therapy with her. She's been awesome. We've only had 2 sessions and it is already making such a difference. So very easy to talk to. Yeah, I love her personality and she knows what she's doing. She was able to walk me through this little process and already it's making such a difference. So, and I know that is only going to get stronger through time. Right now, what I'm working on is looking at just how scared and angry my inner child is and accepting that, which isn't a big deal. I already figured a lot of the shit came from there, but like really feeling those emotions, feeling the emotions I get when I go to a very angry, triggered place, right? So when I feel wronged or when I feel threatened or when I see injustice or when I see someone doing something that I feel they shouldn't, how I feel like I need to fix it and I get frustrated and I get upset. And if someone were to flip me off, I'm going to automatically go to full on fight mode. So I don't want those emotions. I don't need those emotions. Those are not good, healthy emotions for me to have. I don't need it. I'd rather just be happy. I'd rather let shit slide. Why should I take things personally? So she just ran me through this little technique where, okay, now we really examined my peaceful, safe place. So I have that image here, I have those feelings here, I have the sounds and all that stored in one area. And then when I'm in the tense situations or I know I'm going to be in a tense situation, then I simply tap into those feelings. And it's been making such a big difference. I can actually process my stuff a lot faster. Even if I do get upset about something, it's like, oh, okay, well, this is how I want to think about it. And yeah, I do feel better already. And this is after just 2 sessions. So it's pretty cool how everything is working out. I'm incredibly happy with the Amen Clinic. I just left them a 5-star review. I think they've done a great job, and I'm very grateful that I found them. So, thank you to them. I'm sure I'm forgetting some people there and some different things we might have done, but yeah, I think that's about it. All right, guys, I'm gonna have to go get my son soon. Before that happens, I'm gonna leave you with the story I promised. This one is not from 25 Perfect Days plus 5 more, which you could check out. I think you have to get 2 separate audiobooks for that, 25 Perfect Days and then 5 more perfect days. But just listen to this one right now. This is 31 Others off of Morsels of Mayhem. I hope you guys enjoy it, and I will see you later. Peace.
31 Others, October 2nd, 2045. Holy shit. What the hell happened? Everything hurts. My head's one giant, throbbing mass. My left eye won't open. And my right's blurry. I'm guessing car crash, but I don't remember driving. I don't remember anything. Last thing was kissing Paula goodbye. I wipe my eye and cry out. My left shoulder a hot flash of agony. My scream echoes. But only my right ear catches it, my left just ringing. The stickiness on my fingers is drying blood. My hand hesitates, then goes to the missing patch of hair on the side of my head. I'm afraid to check my scalp and need to know what I'm dealing with. Skin is torn, but the bleeding has stopped. It's the swelling I'm worried about. The pressure. The pain. I don't even know where the hell I am. Just that it's some kind of small cell. This bench is black steel, same as the side and back walls, each close enough to touch. Thick glass doors stand 3 feet in front of me, giving this cage the feel of a fancy elevator. But there are no buttons to open the door or call for help. I'm naked. No clothes in sight. There's a puddle of spit and blood in the corner. Around my left ankle is a black plastic tie. That foot a light purple. Another tie secures it to the U-ring bolted to the floor. The glass doors look too thick to break, and there's a black number 7 sticker near the bottom. The walls and glass doors stop an inch from the concrete ceiling a good 9 feet above. Seems like something they'd pull on us in basic training. But the army's in my past. It's gotta be a dream or some kind of joke. Then again, this hurts too much not to be real. What I can see of my left shoulder is a massive black and blue. There's a purple splotch across my swollen ribs, another on my left hip. It hurts to sit up. Ringing in my ear, not doing any better. There's something on the other side of the glass, but I need to get up to see better. Jesus Christ! At least one of my ribs is broken and my balance is shit. Without the wall to lean on, I'd go down. A row of 5 cages stands a good 15 feet away, about a yard separating each of them, concrete walls on both ends. The one directly across from me has 13 at the bottom. A woman, curled over on the bench, her disheveled long blonde hair hiding her face. The cages marked 12, 11, and 10 are to my left, and 14 to my right is nestled against the wall. The walls of my cage are blank, same as the glass. No button to slide the doors open. I cover up with my hand and yell, "What the hell is going on?" My voice is muffled and hangs in the stale air. It doesn't look like anyone heard me across the way, or at least no one's acting like it. From this angle, I can't see if anyone's in 10. Next to her in 11 is a dark-skinned lady, with short black hair who's balled up on the floor of her cage. The curly brunette in 12 is on her feet, covered up with both hands. She looks like she's still in high school. I glance away even though she seems familiar. The girl in 14 is about the same age, plus 40 pounds. She might be asleep, her head lolled back and her punky blue hair smashed against the side wall. There's a loud click and a whir as the cage vibrates. My cage and the ones across from me move as one, shifting right as 14 lowers out of sight. We're stuck on the world's slowest roller coaster, but even that little bit of movement makes me nauseous. I sit down, rest my head against the glass, surprised by its warmth. Cage 9 just came out from the wall to our left. The angle's too sharp to see if anyone's in it. What if Paula is in there? Why are we here? The glass thuds around my foot when I kick it. Only my right ear registers the sound. I've got to breathe. Got to calm down or my head's going to burst. Or it already has and my skin's just containing it. The lady across from me pulls her hair to the side. Both eyes black and blue, her nose crooked. She sees me looking, and her hair once again hides her face. 12 is sitting down, 11 still on the floor, and 10 standing, facing the place we'd come from. Not much of her is exposed, but I'm relieved by her red hair. It's not Paula. What the fuck? I should be at work, or home. Not here. Work. The protest. Breathe. It's my left side that's damaged, that eye probably permanently gone. An explosion. Grenade! That's what Yvonne had yelled. We were front row with my camera, Yvonne preparing her questions beside me. Judge Monterosa stood behind the podium, her voice shaking with rage as she recited the list of congressmen who each had at least one live-in employed. Every one of the girls the minimum age of 15. My memory is interrupted by a whisper. Someone talking. The wall is warm on my palm, my head throbbing more when I'm standing. Hello? They... here. A tiny voice says from above. It doesn't sound like it's coming from a speaker, and there's just the concrete wall to our right. I get as close as I can to the other wall. Turn so my good ear is facing it. Anyone there? Yeah. A man says. You hear me? Barely. I step on my bench with my right foot, rise up as far as the zip tie will allow. Where are we? I don't know. They took off my hood before I... Click. The entire cage vibrates. No! The ceiling pulls away from my hand, my equilibrium off as we descend to the next floor. 13 and I stop at the same time, but the blonde doesn't even raise her head. Not that there's anything different to see down here. 4 cages and a concrete wall to the left, another wall to my right. The punk rocker in 14 is crying, banging her fist on the bench. In 15, a lady with long silver hair appears to be the oldest here. She pulls her hair back into a bun and wipes the sweat from her brow, dabs the small wounds peppering her face. Holy crap. Judge Monterosa. Why would someone kidnap us? This makes no sense. The teenager in 16 has a runner's physique. Bruises across her back. Her right foot is on the bench, her left straining against the zip tie. She calls out to cage 1, but it isn't visible from this angle. Down here, there's a 6-inch gap between the cage and the ceiling. Not enough room to squeeze through, even if I got the tie off. It seems like the larger opening would make it cooler, but if anything, it's warmer down here. The air stifling. I face the left wall and yell, "Hey, you hear me?" "Yes, I'm here," a man says, his voice shaky. "Not our kids." I don't get what he's saying. Then I remember the name of the movement. "Cameraman," I tell him. "Can't believe this. What happened?" Click. The cage shakes. We all shift one space. Cage 1 passing through the tight opening in the wall, 12 descending into the open space to the right. The image of an airport luggage terminal fills my mind. What the hell is going on? My throat is raw, but I still scream. "We didn't do anything!" "Calm down," the older-sounding man in 6 says. "It won't help." I move closer to the wall. Who did this? Probably backers of the bill. Everyone's being named. I sit down as a wave of nausea overtakes me and bile rises in my throat. The curly brunette in 12 is looking right at me, mascara snaking down her cheeks. She holds up her hand and waves. I return the wave. Her small smile brings everything back. She'd been at the protest, standing behind Monte Rosa with the other girls who stepped forward to tell their story. All the things they were forced to do to get assistance for their families. But now she's doing sign language, and I've got no idea what she's saying. "Oh man," 8 says. "Stop it!" At first, I think he's yelling at me, but I'm not doing anything. We can only see the women. 16 is hysterical. Her screams silent as she pounds on the wall. She's jerking her leg hard as she can, the zip tie embedded so deep, the blood flowing freely. Finally, 16 gives up the struggle and faces the doors with a look of determination. Still standing halfway on the bench, she puts her hands behind her back and dives headfirst, tucking her chin so her body doubles over. Her neck snapped in half. The click scares the shit out of me and the cage rumbles. 16's dead and disappearing through the wall. Judge Monte Rosa sits there, her face fierce, oblivious to what happened a few arm lengths away from her. 14 is banging on the glass with both fists, but I only catch faint thuds. The blonde in 13 still has her head bowed, 12 attempting sign language with someone to my right. 11 is the new arrival. She's sitting up, arms covering her chest. That's Zara, my editor. She wasn't even at the protest. I wave, try to get Zara's attention, but she's staring at her feet. At least she doesn't look injured. "This is bad," 8 says. "I'm fucking freaking out." "It'll be all right," I say, the biggest lie of my life. That girl killed herself." I saw. He says something else, but I tune him out. Same with 6, whose shouts are muffled. All I can think about is Paula. Is she safe at home? If I'm going to see her again. I close my eye and breathe. The humid air filling my throat. The pounding in my head isn't as bad, or I'm just used to it. But there's no question, the swelling's getting worse. Click. Sweat stings my eye, my entire body glistening. I'm in the batter's box and in need of serious medical attention. I count to 30 before 6 starts shouting. "What's going on?" he asks. "Where are we headed?" "Pretty sure we're in a loop." "To where?" I don't have any answer, so I go to the left wall. "You hear anything?" There's silence. Talking and yelling, that's it," 8 says. "I'll be right back." 6 keeps shouting for me, but I close my eye, pretend I'm in a sauna, keeping my breaths long and soft. Getting upset won't help. I've got to stay strong. A click and a shake, and I'm the one up against the wall. Me and 13, who's still hiding behind her hair. 8 is talking, but too low to make out. He's getting louder, telling someone to fuck off. At least there's someone to talk to. I can explain there's been a mistake. I'm a journalist. But so is Zara. There's no reason she should be here. She's still staring at the cage floor. 12's crying, rocking back and forth. 13 parted her hair down the middle and is staring right at me, her hands folded in prayer. "Join me," she mouths. "Please." This is my first time since I was a kid. I bring my hands together. Give a slight bow. Her smile looks painful. Her teeth stained red. "Thank you." 6 is shouting something, but I'm not going to respond. All my focus on this woman. Click! The cage shifts left, and I'm looking into a tiny white cubicle. A giant black screen hangs inches from the glass doors, and the sulphurous air is thick enough to taste. We clank to a stop, and the screen pops on. A balding white guy in a black controller's uniform sits behind a desk. The guy looks like he got teased a bunch as a kid and probably still does outside of work. I keep my voice calm and say, "This is a big mistake. I'm a journalist. I'm a cameraman." He doesn't even bother looking up.
"We're well aware of that, Mr. Norris,"
he says, his squeaky voice coming through the ceiling speaker. 8 is screaming at me, "Don't confess! Don't give in!" White noise is cranked up to drown him out as condensation gathers on the glass. The controller says,
"Pay attention, Mr. Norris."
"I served in the army."
"Which makes your treachery even worse. You pledged undying allegiance to the President and his controllers."
"I didn't do anything! This isn't constitutional!"
"Do you confess and denounce your crimes?"
8 screams so loud it cuts through the white noise. "Confess!" he says. "Confess!"
"Please look at the screen, Mr. Norris."
The screen goes black before an email appears. It's from Paula. He highlights her third sentence down. "Someone needs to stop these scumbags." That's a private message to my wife. The screen switches to a conversation I had with Zara this morning. She suggested how I frame my photos. "Focus on the girls. We need to see these pedophiles burn."
"Denounce your heretical ideology.
The controller says.
Accept your 3-month detention. Be baptized. And become whole."
The smell is awful as the heat turns up, the steam intensifying. I ask, "Or?" The maniacal shouts of a madman slice through the silence.
"Time's up,"
The controller says, calmly.
"If you're going to confess, please look at the camera above the cell."
"Fine," I say. "I confess! I accept my punishment!" Click. The cage shakes and the screen goes black. This room is bigger. The humidity overwhelming. An enormous, shiny steel vat with water trickling down the side fills the space between me and 13. Another one between 14 and 8 shines bright through the rising steam. 14's bunched up on the floor, drenched and dead. Her blue hair floating on an inch of water. Her baptism. "No!" 8 screams. "Lord Jesus, no!" There are silver slides jutting out from the wall, each angled down at a cage. 13 is still seated in prayer, her face serene, eyes closed. I can't tell if she confessed. 8 keeps screaming. "This can't be happening. No goodbyes to our families. Ugh, we didn't do anything!" I punch the glass, not caring when I shatter my knuckles. Something clicks above, and a torrent of cold water knocks me into the doors. It's not stopping, and already up to my knees. 13 opens her eyes and jerks back. Looks like she's been shot. She's pointing and screaming at me and 8. The water's past my thighs. But the lava is slower. A waterfall of fire pouring over 14, eating away all traces of her. I jerk my leg, but the zip tie's not breaking. The water's to my chest. Even if I could hold my breath long enough, there's no getting away. All of the screams are gone. Just the rushing water. 13's trying to kick her leg free, her nails drawing blood as she tries to tear the tie off. Getting on the bench won't do me any good. I want to leave my mouth open, but instinct takes over and I gasp the biggest breath. The water is nearly to my eyes when 13 faces me. I fold my hands in front of my chest. No way of knowing if she's joined me. The water distorting everything. I let in the flood and pray.